Nobody.
Mary Lou.
Mary Lou, she's not here.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror.
We're gonna buy her a watch.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do.
Lots of stuff today, and it's great to have delegations, and we have 4, so we're going to get started with that, and welcome everybody. Minutes of the previous meeting, 2015. We already did that. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councillor Curtin, that the minutes of the April 15th, 2014 council meeting be approved as circulated. Any questions on the minutes? No? All in favor? I have one additional item. I'll do that later, I guess. We'll do it later. We'll get to that. Anybody else for additional items?
About 85.
Yeah, well, right. Couple. Okay, well, I thought this was going to be an early meeting. No.
Just a couple.
1 or 2, whatever. Okay. Sure, Ron will have one too. Anyway, okay. Moved by Council Turton, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the town of Minto Council convenes in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Okay. All right. A public meeting, and this is the fun part, the delegations. And we'll start off with the Mayor's Charity Golf Tournament and update. I've got Glenn's not here. Somebody going to pitch up for Glenn? No? Okay. And then I'll have Big Brothers and Big Sisters, if they could come up. We have Marianne and Bob. Nice seeing you. Good afternoon. Now you're on television. I have to warn everybody just so they know, eh?
Okay.
Is that correct?
Well, whatever.
My name is Marianne Christie, and I am the Executive Director and Caseworker for Big Brothers Big Sisters. And this is Bob McEntee. He is a volunteer president and chair of our director of our board of directors. Our agency is a nonprofit organization, and we receive 1/3 of our operating budget from United Way, and the other 2/3 come from grants, donations, and our fundraisers such as Bowl for Kids, Just for Women, Just for Fun, and a WestJet raffle. So as you can imagine, we are very grateful to be chosen as one of the agencies to receive funds from the Mayor's Charity Golf Tournament. I just want to touch a little bit on what we do as an agency. As most of you probably already know, we match children to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. The children we work for are ordinary, innocent children who for some reason had to experience some difficulty of some sort. Whether they lost a parent or a sibling, or whether there were health challenges in the family, whether there was abuse or witnessed abuse. But for whatever reason, these children have become more vulnerable than, say, the average child who have that extra support in their home. So being more vulnerable makes it more difficult for them to realize that they do matter, and a match with a big can bring out their full potential. We also match children right in the school system called in-school mentoring. And these children find it hard to fit in or make friends easily, and so they feel less confident about themselves, and some even fall between the cracks and get behind. So we match these children to an adult who sees the child once a week for an hour, and this could be even on the adult's lunch hour. And during this time, they do whatever they want, and then when the visit is up, the child goes back to class knowing someone cares. This actually shows in their attitude and their willingness to focus on their schoolwork. And we run 2 amazing groups called Go Girls for Girls and Game On for Boys. And these groups run for 7 weeks at the local schools, and our volunteers empowers the children to feel more confident, to be more active, and to learn skills on how to make better choices. Big Brothers Big Sisters of North Wellington, we have an office that is located in Mount Forest with 2 part-time staff. But we travel to all municipalities in North Wellington County, and we work with families and schools. Presently, we have 15 big and little matches, 6 in-school mentors, and we are running 2 groups. We're continually needing new volunteers as we are continually being referred children. We are looking forward to the golf tournament, and the funds we will receive will continue to help us provide services. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Any questions for the delegation? I won't put you on the spot.
Okay.
No, and it's great, and we were certainly happy to have you apply and be part of this year's golf tournament. I know I'm not that good a golfer, but I'm a lot better golfer than a bowler. But I can beat Mayor Tout in bowling anyways. I don't know. But,
That's quite a feat.
Yes.
that's quite a feat. Anyways, but we appreciate it, and we're going to have some fun with it as we
Right
have
on.
our first meeting already, and I know the staff are looking forward to dealing.
You're golfing,
Okay.
right?
Awesome. Oh, yeah, I'll be there that day.
All right, great. Thanks for
Golfing,
coming.
I'm not sure, but I'll be helping.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
Yes.
I could speak on behalf of...
Well, I was going to say, all right, yeah, if you want to speak, I could do it too, but yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, guys.
I just, it's pretty, I think it's fairly important that the soccer get involved in that. As most of you know, last year, Palmerston Soccer League actually folded, and the main reason for that was not because of people that were willing to play soccer, but it was the executive. They couldn't get together for that. So this year, they united across Minto to create an executive, and I'm not sure what it's called, Minto Soccer now. And they've got teams for anywhere from 16 down to little wee ones. I think their numbers are up very good. We, as part of the minor ball executive, I notice our numbers are down a bit, but those numbers have moved over to soccer, which is really good that activities can be accepted. And there's a lot of kids that sat out last year. They get the opportunity to do that too. And I'm sure they need the finances from the golf tournament, and talking to some of the soccer people, they're quite excited about being involved. So they do appreciate it.
Thanks, Ron. I'll just add one thing, and it's unusual that Glenn, something came up, and of course he's a businessman, so he got caught up with something. But one of the things in the move, of course, is they have to get new uniforms and whatnot, and this is what the money's probably going to be used for. And I think it's great because it's another organization now that's become Minto, which is very important and moving forward in our journey down that path of uniting all the three towns in the township.
They're playing in Clifford, Hairston, and Palmerston.
That's right. And we, as you know, we put some money into the Clifford facility, and that's where the seniors are going to play, and the Palmerston facility, I think a lot of the juniors are going to play. So it's a great organization to go forward, and we're looking forward to helping them as well. Thank you very much on that. Okay, and then we'll turn it over to Tony, and our new president of the chamber is going to come up here and tell us all about the Business Achievement Awards. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councilors. Thanks for having me. For those of you who don't know me, I am the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Tony Sautras, and I also run Harry Stone's downtown Hairston. I'm just here to talk to you briefly about the Minto Chamber of Commerce Business Achievement Awards. They're taking place this Thursday, May 8th at 6 p.m. at Pike Lake Golf Course. We have 18 nominees this year in 4 categories, including the Hairston Home Hardware Outstanding Organization Award, Hairston Kinsman Club, Clifford Rotary Club, Minto Minor Hockey, and Frank Lambier Legion number 409. The Awesome Interactive Business Community Involvement Award. Nominees are Barbell Farms, Hairston Motors, C&N Seeds, Palmerston Grain. The Whiteman Communication Business Innovation Award. Nominees are Weathered, Alexandra's Airbrush, Awesome Interactive, Infusion Coffee, and Spear Seeds. And this year we have an exciting new award, the McLaughlin Financial Group Community Event Award, with our most nominees in this category, the Hospital Gala, the Jeff Davies Memorial 3-Pitch Tournament, Savor the Flavors, the Ag Stag, Heals for Hospitals, and Touch a Truck. As well as these awards, we also have our Lifetime Achievement Award, which we do our best to keep secret, and we understand the nominee as being arranged to arrive on time. So we would just like to offer our congratulations to all the nominees and let you know that there is very few seats left. We're holding a few at the door, But if you do want to get a ticket, you can call 519-510-7400 or email info@mintochamber.on.ca. I hope to see you there Thursday night.
We'll be there, Tony. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we have another guest, and it was last time we messed you up or something. I can't remember. And you were sick. Oh, that's right. You were sick. You were coming last time.
Well, we don't mess anybody up around here.
No, not true.
Are you feeling better then?
Yes.
Excellent. Cover your mouth with
I
you.
feel badly that happened last time.
Happens to all of us. Mr. Mayor and Council, thanks for entertaining our guest today. Bridget, I'm glad to say, is a colleague of mine and also a good friend. She's been there for me as we've worked away at QMS in different aspects, and she's been an excellent resource. Bridget is the Quality Assurance Coordinator for the City of Guelph Water Services, and she's also an active member of the ONWARN Steering Committee since 2011. In your council packages, I think you all received a package on ONWARN, so you should have a bit of a background on what ONWARN is. So Bridget will give a quick demonstration, and after that there'll be opportunity for some questions, and then after all questions have been answered, the May 20th council meeting, the bylaw will be passed then. So I'd like to.
All right, thank you very much
Thank you.
for receiving this report today. As Daryl mentioned, the Ontario Water Wastewater Agency Response Network is it's a province-wide network of utilities helping utilities. I've been a member of the steering committee since 2011, as I mentioned. Basically, it matches water and wastewater resources across the province. So if you were to have an emergency here, you can request resources from across the province. Smith Falls, City of London, Chatham, whoever has the resources, staffing who are properly certified to the provincial standards for operator certification, or very specific equipment as required through the Safe Drinking Water Act. Through Ontario Reg 170, we have very specific requirements for equipment and drinking water system requirements. And it's province-wide mutual aid and assistance agreements. So you might have mutual aid assistance agreements with neighboring municipalities, which is a standard across the province, and especially for emergency services. But this is a province-wide network for water and wastewater utilities. There's absolutely no pressure to participate. If you are potentially experiencing an emergency, you don't have to offer any resources to other municipalities who are requesting resources, so there's no obligation to respond if you're not in a position to respond for any resource requests. The American Water Works Association and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency support WARNs across the U.S., so these are water wastewater agency response networks throughout the U.S. And we're working to establish the ONWARN. So far we have 35 members across Ontario, and hoping to grow to include most municipalities across Ontario. The concept of ONWARN is supported by all industry associations, water wastewater industry associations of Ontario, including the Ontario Water Works Association, the Ontario Municipal Water Association, the Water Environment Association, and so on, along with Emergency Management Ontario, which I understand has changed its name, and the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. So all of these agencies do support.
You do really well, Bridget, to know all those. I'm telling you, Akron City,
I skipped a few, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
You'll see there are a number of logos that basically, so for logo recognition, you can see that all these associations support that. Why it's important. So it establishes the agreement up front on protocols in order to share resources. So if you were to lend a resource to a neighboring municipality, whether it's human resources or equipment, it's established ahead of time what rates you can charge out, some of your equipment rates, who pays at what rate for their staff, what if something goes wrong, whose liability insurance picks up, What if someone gets hurt in responding to someone else's emergency? Whose WSID picks up? So all that is outlined ahead of time. So in an emergency, all you have to do is reply all to the list of contacts that we have established across Ontario for the authorized officials, and all these secondary contacts as well would be contacted if you were to request resources. And of course, there's that list of emergency contacts. We do have training that we try to schedule every year through provincial workshops, and it does not require the declaration of your emergency by the mayor. Daryl can establish that we have a lack of resources, whether it's human or equipment or even parts, to call on neighboring municipalities of water and wastewater utilities. In 2006, we had Hurricane Katrina, where we had agencies that were slow to respond, and so there were utilities helping utilities in response to that emergency, and so it was essentially established in the southern states. There was a very large push to establish water wastewater agency response networks across the U.S., and all the green states shows that it was fully established within a couple of years of Hurricane Katrina. And then in 2012, basically all of the U.S., with the exception of a couple of states, and now including Alberta and Ontario as well, with established WARN programs. And again, the benefit is that there's no cost to participate. You don't have to sign a membership due or anything. It's free to sign on. And it's significant economic benefit because the less time that you take to respond, the less recovery costs that you will have. So if you can respond quickly, you will have lower costs in responding to situations. It improves our emergency preparedness. Through the Drinking Water Quality Management Standard, we have a requirement to be prepared for emergencies, and this is just another tool in our toolkit to use towards improving that emergency preparedness. And it's a single agreement that has been vetted by now 35 municipalities and their legal services across Ontario, and everyone has the same agreement. And Smiths Falls can respond to you, you can respond to Smiths Falls. And so it expedites that deployment of resources because, again, it's that single email that you can reply all to the last contact list update that is provided regularly, and then it also assists in response to events that impact large areas. For example, the ice storms of the late 90s, which impacted a very large area from, say Kingston to Montreal, they could then extend to their normal contact list of neighboring municipalities, extend to beyond that to get some resources. And then it also outlines all that indemnification and reimbursement requirement. The agreement outlines that within 90 days, if you are going to invoice the municipality that was requesting resources, that you do that within 90 days. And sometimes it's a handshake, but if you're going to invoice for costs, that you would do that within a certain amount of time. Again, you don't want to put yourself in an emergency situation to respond to another person's municipal emergency. And it's similar to what currently exists in the mutual aid concept through emergency services, except it applies for province-wide. And it does ask that you keep your resource list up to date. So kind of like a stock list that you would probably already know that you have, equipment list and available supplies and services that you have. In the U.S., so we haven't had any case examples to speak of in Ontario so far, which is fortunate. But we have a list of examples of where they were activated in the U.S. Through various state warrants. So the California warrant, the Florida warrant, the Oregon warrant has had all these various incidents that have activated their warrant programs. And then Texas warrant and Colorado warrant and all these other warrants. The Colorado warrant was interesting because there was a salmonella outbreak, which is not normal in a drinking water system, but it was a reservoir that had cracks and it introduced some bird feces and things like that. And so they had to borrow staff from other municipalities in order to flush the drinking water system altogether, and even to have public notification programs, so people going door to door notifying about advisories and so on. So we were established in 2012, in the spring of 2012. We have 35 members, like I said. We are now a steering committee, and next steps is to elaborate on that contact list and resource lists, We hope that, some bordering municipalities can have interprovincial agreements or even international agreements, such as for Niagara Falls. I know they have emergency tests with their counterparts in the U.S., or even Quebec, Ontario agreements, or Manitoba, Ontario agreements based on the proximity of certain municipalities in Ontario to other provinces or the U.S. So here are chair and vice chair contacts and more information at www.onwarn.org. And that is the end of my presentation.
Question? No, there is a report of those. Do you want to bring, can we have maybe a motion to bring the report up now?
What is that?
What's the number on the report?
It's 12C11.
12C11? Maybe we can grab 12C.
We're in committee, if we just,
Yep.
there are no other questions, all we do is a motion to approve the recommendation, and you're good.
All right.
The bylaw has not put on the agenda, but we can put it on
Yes,
next week.
okay, so, all right, we're in committee, so is there any questions? So move. So move. Gary, questions?
Are we going to have questions about the agreement as well?
Yeah, that's what we're doing now.
Okay. Under Article 6, responding member personnel,
Yes?
were you warned about me?
No?
No,
Because she doesn't have an agreement.
she hasn't got agreement in front of her. She hasn't got that in
No,
front of her.
She'd be leave now if she knew.
Just read it to me. That'd be very fast.
We'll give it to her, and then she can, I'll see 11, there we are.
It just mentions under food and shelter, and the first clause there says, whenever practical, responding member personnel must be self-sufficient for up to 72 hours. So does that mean that lodging and meals, it's their responsibility and they won't be compensated for that, or is it just that they have to be prepared to pay those bills or to do that, and then they'll be compensated later?
Yes, and so that's the opportunity for, as part of your invoice, as part of the time and materials and expenses, that you would bill back. But because the requesting municipality is in the middle of responding and crisis, that is part of the agreement. A municipality like Sudbury, if they were sending staff, they're also sending a supervisor as well. That's an internal decision that they had made. So internally, you could decide how this part of the agreement could be satisfied. Either you send staff with city or town credit cards, or petty cash, or however you want to, but you can reclaim that through the invoicing process.
Thank you.
Ongoing salaries, who picks up the salaries of the staff if we have no membership, or where does the government?
For OnWarn?
Yeah.
Oh, OnWarn is currently a volunteer-based organization, and so there are no staff members. I'm a volunteer from the City of Guelph as a member of the City of Guelph. Patricia is from Peterborough Utilities. Andrew Henry is from the City of London. And so actually, Patricia being the chair of OnWarn, she picks up the website fees, which are $30 a month, and that's pretty much it right now.
Wow.
And so because we keep the contact list up to date, all the requesting member has to do is, like I said, reply all, and then you put your criteria for a resource request together in that email, and then you'll get a lot of responses back. A best practice is that you would identify who internally at Minto you would like the responses to go to, so that you're not overwhelmed with being in crisis mode and having to respond to 100 emails about, yes, I can help you with this and that. Another thing is the committee, we've agreed that if Minto required it, we could act as a person or as an organization to coordinate resources. So you could put out the request for resources, and then the steering committee, we're about 10 or so members on the steering committee, we would coordinate that with you or for you if that's what you'd like.
Or vice versa?
Or vice versa. Well, if you're the requesting, you would, oh yeah, if you wanted to be a volunteer, yes, that's right, you could help coordinate the cleaning. That's right, yes.
Well, this is maybe a question more for CAO White, but the Article 13 talks about insurance, so if we get involved in this, do we have to notify our insurer, or do we have whatever it lists all the things, and I'm sure we have all of this, but did we still, maybe should be notifying them that we're part of this program?
We'll let them know that we are, but when I looked at it, when we were first going to understand, we were covered.
Yeah, I figured probably we would be, but,
We will let them know.
so we will make them aware of it so that there's no surprise later on.
Mhm.
Well, thanks.
That's great.
Thank you, Mayor Bridget. I was talking to Bridget back here a few minutes ago, and she said that she was extremely tentative to give these, but I think you did a fine job. I mean, you weren't, you just did a nice job.
Well, thank you
for
very
the
much.
presentation.
That was a ooh.
We can tell you that the Public Works do endorse this, and we think it is a good thing.
Well, I hope you're a bunch of lunch, if you're volunteering.
Well, maybe that's something we'll have to follow up on.
Uh-oh. Anyway, so if there's no further questions, I guess we just vote on it. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
trip
Thank
back.
you.
Thank you
Thanks
for your
for coming.
presentation.
It's a pleasure to have the next delegation. It's not on your little sheets, but it was our problem. So if Alexander and Jason would come up from the NR store, we're really interested in listening to your. We've had explanations, but I'm not sure I still get it yet. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not a tech guy, so I'm gonna know this when I'm done, right? This is our newest tenant in our industrial park, and we really appreciate you coming today to explain this. And your investment, by the way.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor and the council. Thanks a lot for having us, have the opportunity to fit onto your agenda today, and we'll try and clarify the business we're in as best we can in terms of energy storage projects. Enerstore is a relatively new company, and Alexander. So my name is Jason Rio, and Alexander McIsaac, my colleague here, is going to run us through a presentation deck that's got about 10 slides, and hopefully we can fit that in 10 minutes or less, and have some time for question and answer. And we're happy to be here today. We've got a project not far down the road within your community, as you've alluded to, and we're looking forward to continued interaction with the community going forward. So,
Thanks, Jason, and thanks to everyone for having us. We're really happy to be here, as Jason said, and happy to walk you through our technology and answer any questions you may have. So a little bit of background, who is Enerstore, what do we do, where did we come from? We're based out of Toronto. We're a startup company. Our CEO is Annette Verschuren. She's the former CEO of Home Depot Canada. She's won an Order of Canada. She's a fantastic person to work for, in my opinion, the best CEO could ask for. Whoa.
He's a CAO.
CAO.
Just, you can tell this is a pretty tough crowd.
So we're a startup company. We're 2 years old this July. Our goal is really to commercialize energy storage technologies, and we do that through developing projects and securing revenue contracts with entities like the Independent Electricity System Operator. They're the group that operates the Ontario grid and controls electricity in and out of the province and throughout the province. So what we do is we are looking for contract opportunities. We partner with the best energy storage technologies, and I'll get into a little bit about what energy storage is and what technologies we work with. And then we find projects and we look for the best sites. In this case, we got a contract with the IESO, and the best site we found was here in Minto. in the Harriston Industrial Park, which is why we selected it. And there are some technical reasons behind that, things like capacity and such. And we're looking to do projects, and we're looking to take largely Ontario-based startup technologies. Temporal Power is the technology provider for this project. I'll get into who they are, but they're based out of Mississauga, and we're helping them grow by being their customer and building projects. And there are some others we're working with as well. We deal with flywheel technologies, compressed air technologies, and battery technologies as well. These are all different energy storage technologies that are capable of acting as a load, so consuming electricity and then generating electricity. Our project is a flywheel project. And I'll again explain a little bit more about what a flywheel is. So many people wonder what electricity or energy storage is and what is its role on the grid. So an energy storage device, whether it's battery, compressed air, or flywheel, is capable of charging, which means consuming electricity. In this case, I've just put a beaker. It's kind of like filling the beaker. And then you can discharge, which is putting electricity back on the grid or generating, so emptying the beaker. The capacity, which is measured in kilowatts, so a light bulb is 100 watts, kilowatts 1,000 watts, is kind of compared to the opening of the beaker. So if a storage facility with a bigger opening can dump power out faster. Smaller takes longer to dump that same capacity out. The duration is measured in kilowatt hours, which is kind of like the volume of the storage. In terms of benefits on the grid, what storage does, because it can act as a load and a generator, the operator can use it to provide backup power. It can enhance power quality, so when you have manufacturing facilities that are turning big furnaces on and off, storage can counteract that and act kind of like a buffer, balancing the grid and helping the operator match electricity supply with electricity generation. It's kind of like a shock absorber for the grid. In terms of grid efficiency, it can improve on-demand capability and replace difficult new build projects. So this is kind of referring more to larger projects. Gas plants are often built to provide peak power on the hottest summer days. Storage can do that, and comes with a lot. We believe it comes with a lot fewer hassles than building large gas plants. And I won't get into anything about that. I'll move on.
For lack of them.
In terms of grid sustainability, with lots of renewable generation and electrical vehicles coming online, storage can help balance the intermittent supply because the wind blows when it wants to blow, not necessarily when everyone comes home and turns their kettles on. So storage can store the electricity from when the wind blows and use it to generate when when there's the load and the grid needs that load or that supply. So in terms of our project here in Minto, Temporal Power is a Mississauga-based company. It's a startup company as well. They're about 4 years old. They manufacture what's called a flywheel. The easiest example of a flywheel is an exercise bike where you have the heavy wheel in the front. It takes a lot of energy to get it spinning, but once it's spinning, it's easier to keep it going, and that momentum is the energy created by the flywheel. Our technology is basically the same concept, but it's spinning vertically. It's a 9,000-pound rotor, so it's very big, solid steel rotor, operating in a vacuum. And there's an electric motor generator that uses surplus electricity to spin the wheel up inside the vacuum. And then when you need electricity back on the grid, the momentum of that really big wheel can be used to continue turning the rotor in the same direction, but the flick of a switch turns the motor to a generator and electricity can go back on. So the wheel is always spinning the same direction, but to generate, it's kind of like turning a light bulb on. You just turn it on, off, whenever you want to generate or act as a load. And that's how it balances the grid. It's got good efficiencies, and I won't get into the technical details. And if you have further technical questions, we can answer them after. But it's one of the highest performing technologies in the world. It's right here in Ontario, so we're really happy to be an Ontario company building an Ontario technology. So this is an example of the application that really applies to our facility. So the grid operator, the IESO, is in charge of managing those very short spiky fluctuations. And what our technology does is it's a fast responding technology. It helps balance the fluctuations as load goes up and down throughout the day. Again, that's that shock absorber concept. So here's a picture of our facility. This is what it looks like if you were to walk into our building today. It's, as I said, located in the Harrison Industrial Park. We've been working with CAO White and Terry to get our building permits, and we have all the permits we need. I have to say, I have to compliment the town. It's been fantastic working with you and everyone behind the scenes, and the guys at Temporal Power, the folks at Temporal Power have only good things to say about working with the town and Westario. I think the sentiment around, when we talk to large companies like Hydro One, it's like, Westario is not, this is the fastest utility we've ever seen. Are they even a utility? No, utilities don't normally work this fast. So it's really been great working with Westario in the town.
Well, I know David enjoyed working with you as well. He's the Ontario rep.
David Leons and our Temporal Power project manager is David Anders. So the Davids have been working together. And
so then, in your opinion, this is probably the best all you ever worked with then?
It is, absolutely. Yeah. So
we can do a like. We can do a like on
picture.
Facebook.
So just a quick overview of our project, and we've got a couple pictures to follow this up. But we received our contract. It was a competitive RFP. We bid our project into the ISO's process, and we won. So that was a big milestone. We signed our contracts in April. In November, we broke ground in the industrial park. In May, really just now, we're completing construction. Jason and I were over at the site just before the meeting. Everything's looking really good. In June, we plan on commissioning. Commissioning means basically energizing. And then we should be operating. We're focusing on getting the technology working. This is a new technology, so there's of course challenges with it, but we're working through that. We're going to leave landscaping and things to the end because we want the technology working first. But we do plan on taking, on bringing, council members and mayor and CAO White on tours. We'd like to have it, in the right, state to impress you, and we're really proud to, be building the first of a kind. This is the first commercial flywheel project in Canada. So I think the town and NSR, we're all pretty proud of that.
Yeah, Alex, through you, Mayor Bridge, Alex, picture right there, like, is that pretty well finished? Is that what it's gonna look like? I mean, it looks pretty simple.
It's very simple. It's very simple, and that's part of, simplicity is very good. And so I could show you some other pictures. There's some bigger ones here. So this is actually probably only a couple weeks ago.
That's true.
Yeah. So that's what it looks like from Hutchison, or I think John actually. So it's just this white building. One of the great things about this technology is there's no emissions, there's no burning of any fuels, there's no pollutants. It's completely clean. It just takes electricity off the grid, stores it in a spinning wheel, and puts it back on. So it's really great technology. So you can see that's the same picture there of it inside. So that's what a flywheel looks like. That's the flywheel itself. So you can see the flywheel itself is actually on a stand. You can see the 3 black columns there. That's just the stand. So there are some guys there. That's Jeff Veltri, I think. Jeff is the CTO of Temporal. So he built this technology, it was this big, out of his garage, paired up with a guy named Cam Carver, who's the CEO and founder. He's out of Ivy Western, he's an MBA. And they teamed up, garage startup, and have commercialized it. So they're installing one there, right here at the site. You can see the electric motor generator is underneath there, kind of about head height. The 9,000-pound rotor is on top of that stand, and it has a casing. So the casing is what has that fancy sticker there. And that's because it has to operate in a vacuum to reduce friction, so it can spin without losing too much energy. And then that's just a close-up of it there on the right. So that's kind of a bigger picture there. So what you see are 10 flywheels, and the flywheels, what you're actually looking at are the vault lids.
So the vault, so they're inside that vault.
Yeah, so in each of those, under each of those lids is a hole about 6.5, it's about 10 feet deep, and then there's a smaller hole that goes another 10 feet. And the reason we do that is for safety. So under this facility is a lot of reinforced concrete and backfill. Lockheed Martin has done a lot of the ballistics testing. We don't think it would ever happen, and we've done all sorts of safety testing, but if it did, what would happen is the flywheel, if it spun up way too fast, and there's safety measures in place, but if it did and it broke, it would break it apart into 3 pieces and just embed itself into the reinforced concrete. So it's safe from that standpoint. And each of those are 10-ton lids, so they're very heavy, contains everything. Very clean facility. There's 10 flywheels. Total is 2 megawatts. Each flywheel is about 200 kilowatts. So there's redundancy in the system. So if you have to do maintenance, you can pull one out and keep operating the other 9. And what you see on the left-hand side there are what's called the drives. So that's where the inverters are. They convert the power from AC to DC and back to AC.
Can I ask you a question before you leave that? So does it matter whether it's single phase or 3-phase that come in?
It's 3-phase.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 3-phase.
It is 3-phase,
That'd
yeah.
be one of the reasons why that whole location is this 3-phase line.
That was a requirement, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
The main criteria was land availability, permitting, so the industrial park was really perfect from that side of things, and capacity on the lines. So we were looking for 2 megawatts of space on the lines, and based on Hydro One has a tool, you can look at capacity. There were 20 megawatts. So we said, that's a safe place to put a project. And so that's everything. If there's any questions, we're happy to answer.
2 questions. How many people will be in the building at any one time?
Sure. So the technology, the building itself is fully autonomous. So there'll be no one on site. It's operated via remote control. It's kind of like you can think of it as a transformer yard. There aren't really any people there. But if there's maintenance, there will be maintenance. We will do routine checks. So people from whatever offices will come and they'll be, we'll have to have someone to mow the grass and plow the driveway and things like that. And we'll use local services for that.
And second question, are you on the stock market?
No, not yet. Not yet. But hopefully one day.
Good, thank you very much.
Mayor Birch, just certainly did appreciate working with both of the gentlemen here before us, and let you know that this started a while back with Belinda and Keith Gray initially, so before Belinda went on leave, and she brought that forward, and the council took a bit of a chance because, as I said, there's no jobs that are going in that building, but you can see now what Belinda and Keith and others saw, that something that no one else has, and I think we should be proud of that.
And I'd just like to add, we have used, we use our contractors who know the technology and have done projects, but they've subbed out to as much local talent wherever possible. So we are happy to work with the town as much as possible.
So this facility, it's going to be able to store energy that we would normally pay the Americans to take away from us?
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, yes. And what Alexander didn't get into was the different technologies. Some technologies can store more power for longer periods of time. The flywheels, because they're meant for the managing the power quality on the system and the up and down very quickly, they only store minutes worth of power, not necessarily hours worth of power. So in that case, it can store minutes worth of power that would have otherwise been sold to south of the border. But I think some of the other technologies that we are developing and looking to build in the province are longer duration that are more that would directly address that particular situation. This one here is doesn't store that much power. It kind of goes up and down all day long like a yo-yo in a way.
If you look at this graph here, there are 2 different services. The one we're doing is the really short fluctuations, The one with power to the United States would be kind of chopping that whole top off.
So that's coming, or hopefully coming with your company, or that's the plan?
We do have a technology that can do that, and we're working with stakeholders. There are some political challenges, but we're doing our best to accelerate these technologies.
Thank you.
Linda? And then,
So at the moment, we definitely would like to. And right now it's a little bit early because our priority is making sure it's running. But as soon as we have it running, we will work with CAO White to plan whatever we think is necessary. We're good. Okay, great.
Linda's back.
Great.
We work with Belinda.
Great. Okay.
Ron, and then Ron.
Okay, maybe I'm lost in the conversation. What exactly, when you're loaded and you have all this power loaded, where are you putting it to? Like, where are you sending it back out to, or?
So, so I guess,
Get some sort of-
so when you think of a battery like that's in your cell phone, for example, it's storing energy
Yeah.
in some chemicals inside a battery type of thing. This is storing the energy in a rotating mass,
Yeah.
and so that momentum is the energy.
Yeah.
And so when the system has surplus power and it needs to put it somewhere, it spins up the rotating flywheel, and then when it needs extra power back to the grid, then it slows it down and draws that power back out through the motor, back out to the power system.
Okay.
So it's spinning a rotating mass from stop up to speed and back down to stop, and it's
So you've
storing
done-
it in a rotating
You've
mass.
done some tests now, you've already sent it out to the grid, or?
Oh, nothing's live at the facility yet. So the flywheels are being installed in the vaults right now,
Okay.
and so that's our next step here over the course of the next month or so is getting the flywheels functioning and pushing and taking power off the system.
Pushing that button to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's basically the stage of our project where we're at today is starting to get it to go live. Right.
Yes, I'm interested in Deputy Mayor Chris' comment and your response with respect to the longer storage power. Is there any way of, you have plans to make that a dual purpose structure where you could introduce longer term storage as well as have the short in and out storage you can do right now?
As we indicated before, we're working on a number of projects that might be in different parts of the province and partly determined by where the system needs the power. So there's, the IESO has a request for proposals out right now for additional energy storage projects like this, but different technologies, different types of things, not just flywheels, but batteries and other sorts of things. And they've made requests for seeing it developed in certain parts of the province that are in most need in terms of the power systems and where the lines are and where the most needs are. So they've asked for the next set of energy storage projects to be in specific locations and of need. And so to best benefit the system and for the ratepayers, so they're being put in the right spots for the right reasons. And so I think we're at the beginning of seeing more energy storage be deployed on the system for the benefits of letting Ontario get the most out of its renewable energy projects, the wind and solar, and also just helping improve power quality for Ontario. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. This is pretty exciting stuff. I just have a couple questions. There's 10 flywheels, and so how often do they have to come out? Like, and the second question is, and I'm having a hard time getting my head around this as well, but so do they run 24/7, or when there's no need for them at night, do they shut down?
So the graph that Alexander has up on the screen is kind of shows that there's changes in load in terms of the consumption of electricity in the province continuously, daytime and nighttime, and also a changing of the regular power facilities in the province that are producing power. So the nuclear plants run continuously, and there's hydroelectric plants, some that run continuously, some that run with that can store water and release water when they need it. And then there's all the other, the coal plants are shut down now, but the gas plants that would start up during the day and sometimes they shut down at night. And so all of that complexity happening behind the system that the average homeowner doesn't see, creates a lot of variability in that they have to manage with assets. And so even at nighttime, there's still the variability. So we expect that the facility will be doing its thing 24 hours a day, even at night.
Good, thanks. So, second question then, the units, there's no underground access. You pull them out to maintain them?
Yeah, there's an overhead crane in the facility
Yeah,
that
seen
would
that.
move the lids and pull the flywheel unit out for service as required. And
Yep.
The yellow boom is the crane, it just goes back and forth, moves the lid to the side, pulls the flywheel out.
Good, thanks.
And there will be certain, regular maintenance cycles that when a flywheel will come out for certain servicing on a bearing or on electrical components.
Thanks, guys. And one of the things that we benefit in Minto as well is because it is a pilot kind of project. I know when you're talking to Bill, Linda, this will be a spot where people will be coming to Minto to look at this project and see how it goes. So we're looking forward to bringing the world to Minto.
And we'd have to say that the Temporal Power and ourselves are spending quite a bit of time internationally as well, and there's a lot of attention on this technology. So as there's been trade missions and trips to other countries, the same thing is happening in reverse. So there will be interested parties from other parts of the world wanting to come and see it. Yeah,
Wonderful. Thank you.
So this, from what you said, is going to eliminate the brownouts and stuff like that. Is that correct?
Do you get a lot of brownouts here?
No, we don't.
No, it's all intended for improving power quality on the system and helping supply match demand more effectively.
In talking to David at West Ontario, he was trying to explain it to me as well. And that's sort of, originally I had a different concept, but you've really explained it well here, and it's just those little ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
And that just improves the efficiency of the overall system, basically, by taking that little bit out, putting it a little bit back on those minute by minute. You would, but the
seconds
overall
by seconds, yeah, exactly.
That's right. But the overall efficiency, and of course, that'll come down to our hydro bills eventually.
That's the idea.
That's the idea, right? Yeah. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Looking forward to seeing it out there.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Keep it. That was well done.
We are,
Question, public question period. Has anybody got a public question? Heard none?
I can't believe the press doesn't have any questions.
I know, they're not
You're
public, they're press.
scientists.
It's a P word, though. No, you can ask questions if you want. You can ask questions anytime, press. We never hold you back.
Oh, yeah.
Correspondence received for information requiring direction. Gentlemen, if you want to head out, I don't know where you're going, but you don't have to stick around for the rest of the meeting. So
Pretty exciting.
But if you're really enjoying yourself here,
Yep. So, yeah, you're free to head out if you want. Yep. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much
Yep.
for having us.
No problem.
well, thank you guys.
Obviously, Tony sees them a lot, but,
That's exciting, huh? I think it is.
yes.
Hope things work out.
Yeah, no, we made it happen. Great. Yeah. Yeah. Can we have a motion on the correspondence? Moved by Council Funk, seconded by Council Turton. All in favor? Any questions or any concerns on the correspondence? Okay. Reports? See ya. You got that? Yep. Yeah. All right, we have some minutes, the committee meetings on the feasibility assessment, cost-sharing transportation model, and we've, Deputy Mayor Fisk went to that. I did read the minutes it's early stage, I guess, on Ontario. Do you want to speak to it?
Yes, it's actually just a feasibility study right now, but what I found really intriguing was maybe the potential for the City of Guelph Transit to be the booking agency, or whatever you want to call it. Apparently they've installed a $3.5 million software program called Trapeze, I believe, and it sounds like it has the capability of tracking every vehicle maybe in the county that would be used for transportation purposes, so booking would be very simplified. And the fellow that was there, Phil Meager, he sounded very excited about the potential of that, so I think this is going to work. They talk about a champion all the time, and I think probably the county is going to have to be the champion for this to spearhead it. But it was a meeting that I felt coming away from. I felt like we accomplished something, and there's potential there to provide better transportation in this part of the county. So. And the VON, Michelle Martin, I've attended a couple meetings with her, and Huey Thompson, and she's very excited about potential. There is a handicap type van coming to the VON, so that's some good news. There was something just released last week from the Ministry of Transportation, I believe, that they were making funding available. I suspect that that's not available now with the call of the election, but I guess I don't know that.
It'll be probably postponed for now.
But anyway, I felt it was worthwhile, and I think there's potential there, and it sounds like everybody's willing to work together. So if the county and the city can get along on this issue, I think they've put their differences behind them on most things. So this would be a good project that between the two of them, I think they could make a big difference.
And as we know out of the BRNE, we find transportation is one of the major issues.
Brought up every time you have an event.
Yeah, and I appreciate you going to that, Terry, and we'll keep going on it, and I'll put pressure on at the county level, but I think they're certainly a willing participant in this. They were part of putting up the money to get it started, so looking good. Thank you. Do you need a motion to accept that? Motion to accept. Councilor Turton. Councilor Hamley, all in favor? The committee meeting minutes. Linda, do you want to come up? Economic development? You got lots on the go.
So I'm just going to highlight some key points out of the minutes from the April 10th meeting, and a couple things that aren't in the minutes but are good to know. So the Big Dig meeting for downtown Hairston, that construction's planned for next summer, 2015. So next Wednesday night is our Big Dig public open house, and Paul Ziegler is going to be there with some panel boards and information, and I'm going to be there hopefully signing up some of our merchants to be on a promotions committee and start planning for that. We are going out, Taylor's going to go out tomorrow and hand out invitations to everyone downtown so that they're well aware that this is happening. Community improvement plan, we are getting some large maps done up and going to be going over those to start with our downtown revite committees, and then bringing them back to the economic development committee and then to the public for comments on boundary expansions and possible new incentives. So you'll be engaged in that process. Investment Ready program with the Ontario Ministry. So back in 2008, we won a site selection award for investment readiness, and back then they had talked about this program, and so it's been 6 years in the making, and it's finally here, and the province is the first one in Canada to have this program, and so we're looking into this as a possibility. In Palmerston, we have 2 possible sites that could fall under this. There's one little kink in terms of servicing that we need to address, and so we're planning a strategic planning session around our industrial parks later on this month, and hopefully we can come up with a plan, because once you are certified, you get international marketing through the province, and when they get calls, basically if you're not a certified site, you're further down. You're basically not considered, because it's good to be certified. So it's nice if we can work towards that.
And I think we heard today that one of the big things what's happening out in the world, especially international ones, is that they don't want any any leakages. They don't want anybody coming out to the site. They want it all, so they know it's pre-approved, it's there, and they make quick decisions
Yeah.
based on that.
Yeah.
So,
So when you get a
Change.
call, it's ready and everything's
Yeah.
good to go and organized, and that's what I would like to work towards. And on that note, Councillor Rick Hembley and I are doing our annual visit to Toronto next Wednesday. So we're going to meet with the ministry, and we do that every year just to keep on the radar. And the county is doing our GIS maps for us, so we can present those, because as you know, we've had lots of changes in our industrial park, and so I just want to update them on that and some of the new businesses that are in the park. Tony talked about the business awards on Thursday night, and I'm going to just briefly mention the Pitch It Business Plan competition. We have 6 finalists. Their business plans came in yesterday and were sent to the judges, and they will be doing their presentations at Launch It next Wednesday. And the finalists are Minto Computers, Grant Service Center, Free Range Arts, Weathered, Minto Mom, and Alexandra's Airbrush. So congratulations to our finalists, and wish them the best of luck, and it'll be another tight competition, I think. So excited to see the outcome. So that's that for those minutes. If anyone has any questions. That's easy.
Nobody wants to take you on.
That's okay.
On that presentation tonight, must make you feel really proud.
Oh, it's nice to see things come to fruition, and CAO White did a great job while I was away and getting things tied up on lots of land sales, so that's nice to see. And there's more coming down the pipes, which is great too. So I'm going to get Alexandra to come up, or Nicola.
Nicola, yeah.
I had Alexandra in my head. And she's going to talk a bit about our cultural roundtable stuff. The mayor and Treasurer Duff and Nicola went up to Halliburton and presented at the Spark Summit. So I'm going to turn it over, and she's going to tell you all about it, because they did a great job.
Okay. So I am one of the community representatives on the Cultural Roundtable. And last August, Treasurer Duff brought something to one of our meetings that the Spark Symposium was looking for proposals. And because I thought that the Minto Cultural Roundtable was such an amazing thing within our community, I had 3 days, but I put together a proposal and submitted it, and they accepted it. So the 3 of us did go up there. We presented a workshop where people were asked to create an event for the Culture Days, and come with what they brought to the table, whoever they happened to be. It just so happened that we had a lady from the Ministry of Culture, as well as the manager of Culture Days for Ontario in our seminar workshop. So it went very well. The next thing we did was we took that up. Then we let them do the activity again with specific roles from the Cultural Roundtable, which I had each member of the Cultural Roundtable write. This made the activity much easier for the participants. Some of the reactions that we got were, there's no way you would possibly have a councillor and a mayor and the economic developer and all of these people at the same table working together. And I then told them that indeed each one of these people had written the roles that they were given. They were very impressed. The woman from the Culture Days, the manager, Aubrey Reeves, I've just spoken to her, and she has a intern coming, and she would like to do a case study on Minto and everything that we've accomplished here with our Cultural Roundtable. We had tons of kudos. We were told that we should take a traveling tour. Yeah. The mayor was the only politician at this symposium, so he was like a celebrity. Nobody could believe that a politician would come to an arts symposium. And each person left our workshop with a bag with those lovely cups that you're all drinking out of, as well as I put together a brochure from them, which is kind of a point form of the 64-page cultural plan that Minto had done, as well as parts of the terms of reference for the Cultural Roundtable. So that is what everybody left with, and they were quite impressed with the information that we gave them and the presentation that we provided.
while they were there. They were also meeting with the principal of the Halliburton School of the Arts and just talking about the incubator and stuff like that. And I want to personally thank Nicola and the mayor and Gord for doing this. Nicola did a great job of putting this together. Actually, I want to make a whole bunch of copies and get it out in the community because I don't think people know a whole lot about what cultural plan is, cultural roundtable is, and I think she did a great job of making it understandable for people, so we want to duplicate that, and she did a good job of putting that together for us. And yeah, it's another way to go, Minto, and again, we're being a center of attention in the province, and I think part of the reason why we keep getting some of these grants because we're proving that we can do stuff when we do a plan. So just kudos to Nicola and Mayor and the rest of the roundtable group for doing that project. Just some other, you're good, you can stay. Just some other highlights that you'll want to pay attention for coming from the roundtable. The Concert in the Park series, Taylor is working on that right now as we speak, looking at doing a concert in each community this summer. Murder at the Nickel John, if you weren't there, it was a huge success, and we're looking at doing that possibly on Thursday, August 28th. And doing it again at the Nickel John with hors d'oeuvres and possibly outside. We're planning for Culture Days 2014, and those are just a few of the things, the highlights that we're working on right now. So it's a busy group, and we are still looking for members, specifically a youth representative, someone from the agriculture sector, and one more community person that's involved in the creative sector. So if anyone knows of anybody that would like to join this awesome group, please send them my way.
I just want to add to the Spark thing. I couldn't believe when we got up there, they had a map of where everybody was coming from, and they had to have a map of Canada, and they had to have a map of the United States, and they had to have a map of Europe, because there was 80 or so people there, but they were from all over the world. It was just amazing. They did what I thought was really good. Part of their grant, they put, I think it was 20 youth delegates, which are anybody from 29 South. And these are all very innovative people, and we had some great contacts, and we're going to follow up on some of those with some of the people that said we should come, and it was just an amazing event, and Nicola did such a super job because really we owe her all the kudos for organizing this. And I don't know if anybody's been in one of these workshops. When you run a workshop for 90 minutes, it seems like a lot of time, but you have to be concise. You have to understand it. It ran right on time. People got a takeaway, and I got all kinds of praise for all the hard work that Gordon and Nicola did, and the cultural roundtable. So I'm so proud, and I said it's because this council is so interactive with this, and
and supports our efforts. Other places have done these plans, and they sit on the shelf because the council doesn't understand it to put the money behind it to get it done. So we're very lucky and thankful.
It's a good point, and I think that was one of the things we came across, and that was the other thing they couldn't believe, that we put 5,000 to downtown revitalizations, and we do have money to Culture Roundtable, and we do this council puts money into those projects, which allows those people that are giving all those volunteer hours an opportunity to shine, and that's kudos to you guys for.
I feel a group hug.
I know, it still feels good.
Great.
Pumped up. Thanks very much. Any other questions, or?
I'd just like to make a comment. I just recently spoke with a ratepayer, and he indicated to me that council should be striving to look after the roads and the sewers and things like that, but we have a wee bit of work to do, I think, educating our ratepayers as to what we're doing. I think once they see what we're doing, then they'll come on board. But what he didn't think about was, yes, we can have the best roads, the best sewers, the best water, but we need people in our community too. And the only way we're going to get people and keep people is with programs like this, giving our young people opportunities to expand their talents, whether they be hockey players or artists or singers or whatever. And so we do have some work to do, but you're doing a wonderful job. Just keep up the good work.
Thank you. We have a great video. I think the city of Hamilton did it, that shows really well what a community that just has good roads looks like. It's pretty dead looking, and quality of life is really important because nowadays people are living where they want to work. It's not work, go where you work, it's work where you live. And so building a place that has a positive, good quality of life is what we're striving for, because we want people to live here. And good roads isn't going to attract people. Well, thank you for that.
Good point, Mayor. We have to make sure we promote it.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thanks, Nicole.
Good work, you guys.
Would you like to see this? I only have one, right,
Yeah, we'll get some out to everybody. Motion to accept those 2 sets of minutes. Councilor Faulkner, Councilor Hamley, all in favor? Thanks for coming, Nico.
Where's Nicola from?
Harrison. Yeah.
It's on the corner of.
She's also an artist. She's an artist as well.
No, I know the name, but that's the first time I actually.
Yeah, and she runs the Minnows Mum blog, right? Yeah. We're Russ Friesen, so, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Where are we now? Parks and Recreation. Man, there he is for the tie on and everything, looking good.
Goodness, I'm pretty dapper over there, Matt, old boy.
We're gonna miss you, Rick.
I bet you are.
No, I mean it.
There's some tough acts to follow.
I know.
Good presentations.
You want to make?
Yeah, we better step her up then, brother.
Well, thank you, Mayor Bridge. What I have here today is just 2 sets of Parks and Rec Advisory Committee meeting minutes, one from March 31st, the other from April 28th. First one was held in the Clifford Hall way back on March 31st. Just a quick overview. We discussed the Norgan Theatre minutes, and very, very happy with how things are going there to date this year. We're well ahead of last year's pace in terms of attendance levels, about 10 people per show on average. That's 30 a weekend. That's a significant amount. The main reason being is that there's just a better selection of films out there this year, ones that people want to see. Last year was a bit of a slow year, and we were still able to achieve budget, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that, if not exceed our budget again this year. I'm also involved in putting some programs on. So throughout the months of April and May, we've been doing our Try It Sports program. Basically for kids aged 5 to 10, they get a chance to try 5 different sports over a 10-week time frame. We're running a grassroots basketball program at Norwell right now. Aaron Bridge is doing a great job with some of those youth. That's more geared towards 10 to 14-year-olds, and they're having a blast. It's nice that the school's able to let us use their facilities for free through their Community Use of Schools initiative. And our ball hockey league's set to wrap up at the Harrison Arena this Saturday. That's been another successful program, 15 teams. We partner with the Optimist Club. They run the tournament on the Saturday, but we do all the stuff on the Thursday night. So that comes to a conclusion this weekend, and there'll be a busy spot there at the arena on Saturday. We're looking at we did move Council Recognition Night for our sports achievement from April to May. We had some groups and individuals that couldn't make an April evening council meeting, so we're going to aim for May the 20th at 6:30. So we've got some minor sports teams as well as some individuals we'd like to recognize for some great seasons on the field or on the ice. And finally, just on the second page of those minutes from March, just a few things there. Facilities update, BMX park update, smoke-free spaces I'll get into in the next set of minutes. And then both myself and facilities manager Carr, we're going to set up a meeting just at Lions Park in Palmerston there with some people who have an interest in what's happening in terms of the Railway Museum and the Cook Car and things like that, and just make sure we tie up those loose ends. So, are there any questions regarding the minutes from March? Okay. So just into the April minutes here. So these are just from about a week ago. We met at the Drew Hall. Gerald Coastleg took great care of us. Even put a meal on for us, so can't argue with that.
Poor guys.
Oh, eat well and Drew.
That's yes, absolutely. So in this set of minutes, with respect to the Norgan Theatre, I know we had some preliminary discussion about how well the debt's being paid off. I mean, we're down below 60,000 now. We've 125,000 has been paid back by the volunteers to date. So at the Norgan Theatre Board level, we'll just start to have some preliminary discussions on what we'd like to do when the debt's paid in full. Because currently when there's a surplus, 3/4 of it goes towards the debt and the other 25% goes to a reserve account for theatre upgrades. Our initial intent would just be to take that entire surplus and put it into a reserve account. It was a significant upgrade in '07, but there are still going to be things that come up that need to be replaced and repaired in time. It'd be nice to fund that purely from the surplus that we're able to achieve. But that'll be a discussion we have ongoing with the theatre board.
Our thoughts were, if I could, Matt, too, that's the way the volunteers would probably still keep coming and we still be operating. And if we had to staff it, because they volunteer now because they want to bring money towards the theatre and keep the theatre running. So if that money just went into a town account and not back towards the Norgan, then you might lose your volunteers. So we're thinking the volunteers would continually have that. Money could all go into a reserve account, and whenever something was needed for the Norgan, that money would come back out.
And as Ron mentioned there, I mean, it's been 7 years now, and we still have a great volunteer base. We still have 6 teams. So for most volunteers, aside from the captains, you're looking at one night every 6 weeks. It's been great to see that as people have come and gone, more volunteers have stepped up, and the last thing we'd like to do is sort of scare them away from something they're passionate about. So those will be discussions that are ongoing, but got a great rapport with the board right now there, and they're very willing and very motivated to see this thing through. Again, with the programs, I just wanted to touch base a little bit about the Minto United Soccer Club. So their season begins soon. As I know Ron mentioned earlier, Palmerston Soccer Club didn't run last year and Hairston did. Both have seen a complete overhaul of their executive, and they've basically come together to form the Minto United Soccer Club. Sounds a lot like Manchester United, and they've actually borrowed quite a few concepts from their logo.
Right.
I'm a big fan, but Man U's had a pretty rough year. That being said, I hope...
So is Toronto Maple Leafs, my friend.
We're hoping that the Minto United Soccer Club will have a great year. Some of the younger teams are going to play in Palmerston on the smaller pitches in there, like the U8 and the U10 pitch. And then the older teams will play in Clifford on the pitch there. That new pitch is far superior than the larger pitches in Palmerston. So the older teams, I believe U12 and higher, will be playing out of Clifford this year. I believe their first game is Thursday night. So that'll be exciting to see. Something else we're looking at doing is enhancing Wi-Fi at our facilities. We have a Keystone users meeting there on Tuesday, so that'll be our first chance to sort of test a couple of things out and see what we can do. It'd be great to market it and promote that we've got reliable, consistent Wi-Fi in our hall, more as a selling point for people who may want to rent our facilities and do require that. The Wi-Fi that we have there now is it's more meant for the arena lobby, and I'd like to find a low-cost way to get a strong signal into the hall. PRAC did discuss smoke-free policies for our parks. You may recall from the January minutes that we had a delegation from the health unit come by and talk to us about if that's something we'd want to pursue. There is provincial legislation in the legislature. At this point, it hasn't been voted down or approved. We're sort of wanting to see how that pans out first. In their presentation, though, they had a nice sign that basically had a picture of a child with a ball saying, "We play here, please don't smoke." And so at this point, we're not, staff and Parks and Rec Advisory Committee are not recommending a policy per se, but we'd like to put some signage up to just encourage as many people as possible to not smoke around our sports fields, our pools, playgrounds and whatnot. A lot of the policies that we found were enforced by officials. At this point, if it's not a provincial policy, public health won't enforce it, and it would be hard for our staff to be out trying to police every single event or activity we have. So at this point, we'd like to put up some signage and just hope that people will use common sense.
We felt, if I may, we felt too that it would be better to be self-enforced. Obviously, if a fan's at the game and sees somebody smoking amongst the kids or near the near the playground or whatever, they could walk over and just point to the sign, and I said, you know, are you aware that's there? And we felt that peer pressure would work as good as anything, and we also felt it was almost impossible for staff. You have your smoke police out there, difficult.
That's unfortunately the problem.
Yeah, and it's really hard to put some teeth into something like that, but peer pressure does work, and we felt too, if somebody sees that sign with the kids with the ball and stuff, they'd feel themselves that they should maybe back off a bit. So that was our hope anyway.
Yep. I talked to Dennis Craven, he was at 2 association umpires meetings in the past week, and I've talked to him since. Anyways, he talked to his umpires, and what they think they can do for us is, with the sign being there, and somebody smoking and doesn't realize everybody's inhaling their smoke, the umpires can mention it to the coaches, and so the coaches can maybe help patrol it.
Yes.
So he called me back and he said that he did bring it up, and most people thought it was a good idea.
And I think, you know, 80% of the people will respect it. Like, that there are smokers, there's going to be a few people, and they peer pressure. I totally agree with you, Ron. I think that's going to be probably enough to maybe get
I think some people
rid of
do,
almost all of it.
I'm sorry, George, but I think some people just light up a cigarette and not even realize it.
Yep.
Pull it back out and have a cigarette in their hand, and, oh, whoops, I'm not supposed to smoke.
That's what they've always done.
Yeah.
So, well, let's try that and let's see how it works.
Sure.
And just to follow up quickly, we did receive a letter from the Harrison Curling Club seeking a little bit of financial relief for some ice repairs that were required due to some roof leaks. So PRAC did endorse that request, and I know Facilities Manager Carr is meeting with the architects that were part of the process back in '08, as well as a roofing company tomorrow.
8 o'clock, I think.
I believe it's either 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, to try and figure out exactly where these leaks are happening. It seems like these problems were a combination of roof leak and condensation, so they're hoping to hammer down exactly where that leak is. And just to follow up, we're, as the Norgan Theatre Board and the Palmerston Lions Club, there's going to be a party in the park next month at Lions Heritage Park. This is going to be towards the Albert Street side, near the pavilion and where that storage shed is, just right on Albert Street. We've got, the Lions have got some good acts lined up, proceeds to support their initiatives, as well as the Norgan Theatre. It's going to be a nice show. The arena's been booked in case there's rain. I know you never know what you're going to get in June, and especially with the winter and the spring we've had. Yeah, this is just something that, it's just something to show off the park and feature the park and bring in some entertainment and just have a good time and raise some money for some good causes. So,
if I believe the mayor is promoting concerts in the park, and this is we're going to believe this is part of a kickoff to those concerts in the parks.
Yep.
So that'll be the one concert we'll start it off in the year in Palmerston too. So it's something that we're going to try and kick off for the whole community too. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's about time we had something in that park. We wanted to showcase it, and whenever I brought it up to our Lions Club, and they were 100% behind it. The Norgan Theatre Board 100% behind it. So anyone I talked to, we've kept the price down so it'll be cheap for everybody out there. We're going to have a bar, and the bar's going to be separated so that
Booze are gonna be cheap too?
yeah.
Cheap booze?
Well, town price, it's always cheap.
Town price.
And we're going to keep the age majority separated from the minority, so that we'll have a bar area for everyone to enjoy themselves as adults, and still let the kids enjoy the entertainment too. So there's going to be food and everything. The good thing about these bands too is Ty comes from Elora, and he plays hockey in Drayton.
yeah.
And Lucas Rogerson, he comes from Drayton. And Juanita Wilkins, everybody knows Juanita up in Clifford. She was quite excited. She was quite happy that I would ask her, and she said right away, I want to play right behind Jamie Warren. And Jamie's going to open it up with an acoustic at 4 o'clock, and then we're going to move through our bands. And at the end, Jamie's going to come on again at about 9 o'clock. And he's going to do another show, and then Colin and Amy's going to finish up the evening, and we're going to cut her down to about 11 o'clock, and the park should be empty by 12, we hope, and so we won't bother any of the community people in town. So we're really excited about it. We hope our council will promote it and try and get people out to it, and it'll be good for everybody, certainly good for our town, and we'll be glad to have that happen.
Excellent.
Are there any other questions regarding the minutes from the 28th?
Matt, in respect to the Wi-Fi expand to the auditorium type deal, I was at a meeting yesterday with the provincial body of the International Plowing Match. One of the things was the availability of Wi-Fi for campers who travel the province and whatnot. I'm not sure we had that many here last year, but I've seen summers where we've had a lot of campers spend at least 1 or 2 nights here at the Hairston Park. And I was just wondering what how difficult it would be to expand it so that it would be, if they got it in their package for registering to stay there, that for a nominal cost they could get Wi-Fi there.
Through Mayor Bridge, I know that you can buy a $25 router, you could buy a $250 router, and what you get what you pay for. That would be something, if we wanted to expand it that far, I'd probably ask our IT guy for some help on that one. But typically the technology's out there, it's just finding the one that's affordable and reliable.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the advantages of the groups that come, I know the 2 RV groups, they come twice a year.
Yeah.
But they also rent the hall, and for their food and everything, so if they could go on there. Yeah, they'd go on there, hopefully they would be able to.
Yeah, the Twin Seas and the Camping Kings are both great groups to have.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Bridge. Matt, any update on the crack in the floor at the Hairston Arena, or how it handled this past season?
Through Mayor Bridge, that'd be a question I could ask Al to get back to you on. I do know that we ran our ball hockey league in there, and
Didn't lose anybody.
no, we did
Put
run.
a bump sign up.
We did run our full set of games on the center court. It wasn't something that was. It is noticeable, but it wasn't obviously noticeable when we were there running our try-it program ball hockey portions. So I'll certainly ask Al to get back to you on that.
And you?
I know he's been keeping an eye on it, but I hadn't heard after how it got through the winter.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to bring up something, and it's not a surprise to you, Matt. My granddaughter sent a letter to Prac, and she wanted to CC it to council, and somehow got lost and never got to Bill to go on council. So she asked me if I would read it to council tonight. I just want to say, Jocelyn worked for the town of Minto as a lifeguard and instructor for the last couple of years, and her whole life was bent on becoming a lifeguard. So this is sort of a regrets letter that she wanted to talk to council and tell people about what her experience here, and it was quite a hard decision for her to make this summer. So I'll read it to you. It says, it's addressed to Matt, and it says, Dear Matt, the summer pool season is upon us, and unfortunately I cannot be a member of the Town of Minto pool staff. This past year I have studied at the University of Guelph Ridgetown campus with my goal to achieve a career in agronomy. I have accepted a summer position with Pioneer Seed in Tavistock, which will help me move towards my chosen career. I will miss working with my peers and the recreation staff. My experience has been invaluable and enjoyable, and I am disappointed that we will not have the opportunity to be around when our new water slide is finally installed. Many people, including our lifeguards, volunteer countless hours, most of them at the Jumpathon, to achieve the goal of a water slide for our kids to enjoy. The town of Minto is fortunate to have many local qualified lifeguards. Hopefully this trend will continue. Becoming a trained lifeguard is a very expensive and difficult qualification to achieve. Your young lifeguards have a very responsible and sometimes very stressful position. Many of your lifeguards are or will be attending university or college, and unfortunately may have to take a summer position that is more financially rewarding. It is important that the town of Minto continue to support that their aquatic staff both positively and financially. Once again, instructing and lifeguarding at the Palmer School has been a rewarding experience I'll never forget. I would like to thank you and the town of Minto for this wonderful opportunity. Sincerely, Jocelyn Shaw. So I thought that was well put, and she does, it's been something that was one of her toughest things that she had to make, and she certainly wanted this council to hear that, and certainly wanted Prac to hear it. So it's,
Okay.
I would thank her for that.
Motion to accept. Alder Curtin, Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? Carried.
Mayor Bridge, just on a note on the minutes, your Mocha Classics jersey is
Oh, right.
on its way and
I'm gonna
should
do
be
that on the
available for
20th?
pictures on the 20th.
Okay, yeah, I meant that, we had talked about that earlier, and I guess they're giving them up anyways. I maybe get to keep it because they disbanded. I mean, we had to let them win so they could disband.
We can go out on top, yeah.
It was a good effort on our 81th, but we'll have more on that on the 20th. We'll have a little do on it, and we'll have something. I'm wearing it on the 20th.
Are we gonna burn it after? What's going on?
I might keep it. I don't know. If you think it'll fit me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Well, they're not having a team next year, so
Yeah, they don't need it back.
you can burn it after.
Okay. Anyways, we'll talk about that next time. Thank you. Okay, trees for Minto. Minutes are in front of you. I couldn't make that meeting. Terry, did you want to?
Yes, I think it's pretty well self-explanatory. The attendance wasn't the best at the last meeting, so we're going to try an evening meeting for our next meeting, and hopefully that'll be a little better. The item G talks about the presentation at an upcoming council meeting. It should also mention that there's a $3,000 donation coming from the Wellington County Stewardship
That's
Group.
disbanding now.
Yeah, so, and we're hoping to have both in there.
Perfect.
For that, whenever that works for them. We've since been able to get a couple of what I call commercial farmers to agree to sit on the board, so I think it's taking shape, and there seems to be a fair bit of enthusiasm. Be nice to see things move along a little quicker, but I guess it doesn't happen that way, so.
Sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. But I give you a lot.
Yeah. And I spoke with Melvin Steckley, and he's agreed to host our mid-July meeting where we're hoping to have a kind of an open house for the community. And I'm hoping that some of this money that can be used to supply some barbecue material to attract people. And the plan is to maybe have Rob Johnson and Mark Funk give us a play-by-play, or whatever you want to call it, as to how they did it in Mapleton, because we're hopefully going to do it the way they did it and maybe not make the mistakes that they made along the way. So that's the plan for now. Fortunately, neither one of them were at the last meeting, but that's what we have in mind.
Okay, sounds great. Motion to accept. Councilor Hamley, Councilor Faulkner, all in favor? Great. Launch it. Oh, our newest launch it person, like she launched right up here.
Just keen.
Carissa. We miss you at the office now that you're over in the,
No, it's a little
spot.
quiet. It's quiet
bet
over
it's
there.
quiet out there.
I'm getting all kinds of work done.
Because I'm not there bugging you. Oh, I didn't have to say that.
I didn't say it either. Okay, I have two sets of minutes to present today. One from March 28th, even further back than Matt's minutes, and the second from April 11th. So for March 28th, Irmgard from Innovative Print and Nicola McEwen created potential logo options for the board. The board decided on a logo created by Irmgard. The board recommended two changes to the logo, including limiting the space between the letters and lengthening the A in launch. We obtained two sign quotes that were brought forward to the board, and the board decided to go ahead and pursue a new quote from Sign Matters.
Adopt-A-Mop was approached for a quote on units number 3 and 4. A quote was obtained for $40 to $45 per unit per cleaning. Brenda Gartley will give a more accurate quote after potential renovations for unit 3 have been completed. Renovations will need to be done to unit number 3 to accommodate multiple tenants. The renovations include a wall to separate Innovative Prints office, creation of a meeting room, creation of smaller offices, and the removal of the wall between units 3 and 4. An initial quote was received from John Cox. Other contractors that were approached were Heritage Builders, Pete Henderson Carpentry, and D. Grind Construction. Contractors will also be asked to quote the project in pieces so that the board can determine which portions they want to go ahead with right away and which they would like to hold off on until a later date. The board heard of different sponsorship opportunities from Hope. The idea is to offer a sponsorship package that suits each business individually, therefore offering opportunities for monetary sponsorship or in-kind sponsorships. Ideally, a sponsorship package will be in place for the grand opening. The board discussed an application process that has been created. A few changes have been recommended to the application, otherwise the board was satisfied with the process that was presented. A completed application form and references will be required to apply to launch it. Upon receiving the application, the board will review the applications and determine whether they would like to pursue an interview with the applicant or assist the applicant with applicable changes to their application or business plan. A selection committee will then sit on the interviews, and the board will then have the final decision of admittance. The board reviewed the proposed lease agreements for both incubator tenants and business center tenants. Glenn presented a potential training program for the incubator. The program would be very similar to that of Waterloo Wellington Community Futures Development Corporation. Glenn and Carissa have a meeting set with Tina Heathers, a business coach and trainer from WWCFDC, and one of her mentors, Julian Ardentent, to discuss a potential partnership in training programs. This would allow for the program users to benefit from both programs and therefore participate in courses in 2 locations. And the board saw an outline of the potential website idea developed from Andrew, and the website is just currently in need of more content. And that's it for the 28th, if there's any questions. Okay. April 11th, after some email discussion, the board discussed the potential renovation options for unit number 3 and unit 4. And after discussion amongst the board, the decision was made to continue with the initial renovation plans that were initially quoted. 4 quotes were received from Minto contractors. The board discussed changing the tentative grand opening date from May 10th to June 14th. Grand opening will take place the same day as Heritage Days and Touch a Truck, and would take advantage of Hairston's busy streets that day. The board discussed the need for a mission statement, as documents such as the application form refer to our mission statement in the opening paragraph. The board agreed on the following mission statement: Launch at Minto strives to assist new businesses to start, grow, and succeed in a creative environment. And the board would like to revisit the mission statement after Launch at Minto is more established to ensure that the mission is in line with the direction that Launch at Minto is going. The board was presented 3 options for the potential sign layout created by Sign Matters. The board agreed on the 3rd option, however, requested some small edits to the design. The board heard of the potential to become a member of the National Business Incubator Association. The annual membership is $525 and allows access to a multitude of resources, including webinars and courses. The Incubator Management Certificate Program is offered to members of the National Business Incubator Association for a cost of $40, and the board feels this would be an excellent training opportunity to pursue. The board heard that some changes were made to lease agreements in regards to insurance. The agreements are now more streamlined with less repetition in the insurance section. Tenants will have to purchase an insurance package that includes $2 million in liability. The board heard that training programs are scheduled to begin in June. A 3-month training calendar is being created, and will have courses set likely once a month. so as not to interfere with Waterloo Wellington Community Futures training sessions. The cost of the courses will be $65 per month and $75 per month for non-chamber members. These prices will be the same as Waterloo Wellington Community Futures training courses, as Launch It, again, will be partnering with them in the creation of the training calendar. And another potential, actually now partner for the training program is Saugeen Economic Development and Guelph Wellington Business Enterprise Center. The board hopes to facilitate a one-day education event. Gun Hall is working on developing a plan with Harold DeVries from Guelph Wellington Business Enterprise Center. The board discussed many different community connections for Launch at Minto. I attended the business retention and expansion wrap-up presentation at the county, and I was able to meet some of the town's connections there. And I was also able to sit down with Rose from Saugeen Economic Development, along with Mayor Bridge and Belinda. And another connection to make is with the County Economic Development Committee. Shannon Duff presented a list of marketing and promotion ideas for Launch at Minto. Many ideas were brought forward, including press releases, creation of rack cards and promotional packages, and the utilization of social media networks such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. The board discussed Launch at Minto's image, and the board decided they want to have a highly creative, highly innovative, yet professional type brand. It was decided to stick with the white, blue, and green color scheme. The blue and the green are the same blue and green that the town utilizes. The Launch at Minto website, again, is currently at a template stage, and we're just working on content to go in there. And also, we are going to be working with Waterloo Wellington Community Futures to build a mentorship program as well. In more recent news, Launch at Minto received great news last week that we received the RED grant, which will grant us $38,000 roughly over the course of 2 years, which is fantastic for our budget. So.
Exciting, isn't it?
Exciting and
Very
busy,
exciting.
very busy.
Very
Oh,
busy.
it's been very busy, a lot of stuff happening. It's kind of neat to see what happened in the 28th and the 11th. And
I know, I was reading these going, this stuff's so
Wow.
old now. It's not that long ago.
But if you have a chance, drop in. I'm sure you show the premises out.
Absolutely, yes, I'm working in there full-time now, and our renovations are almost complete. We're just waiting on a few final touches, some door handles and some new ceiling tiles, but it's really coming into fruition. It's looking good. It's really exciting. Our sign's up as well. It looks awesome, so feel free to take a drive by. The sign looks great from the road.
Belinda has her hand up. You should come up, Belinda, to the, otherwise they'll hear this mumbling back there. Yeah. Come on up, Penny.
You two get along okay?
Sometimes. We're buddies. I miss her already. Yeah, just along with the grand opening, we're planning like a sneak peek on June the 10th. So chamber members, the press, and obviously council and some of our business partners are going to get an invitation to get a sneak peek at the incubator on the Tuesday night. And Savor the Flavors Committee is actually talking about tonight possibly sponsoring that. So some sort of wine and cheese, wine and hors d'oeuvres type of thing. So watch your mailboxes for those. So that's all I wanted to know.
Great stuff.
Just stay here.
Good job.
Thanks, Chris.
Motion to accept. Deputy Mayor Fisk, Councillor Turton, all in favor?